Hi guys, to part 7 of the ultimate loadbox comparison. In case you haven't seen the previous episodes, the aim of the series is to find out which loadbox offers the best line-out signal for recordings. Today we will test the Power Station 2 from Fryette. And as you maybe know, it's two devices in one. The active part acts mainly as attenuator and is also a tube amp, which allows you to bring your original tube amp up or down to the required level. This can be higher or lower than your original volume level and depends on your tube amp. The Power Station 2 has a max output of 50 watt and the passive part of the power station is the DI box. And that's what we want to test today. For this, the power station does not need to be connected to the mains, so there is no fan noise. That's a very nice feature. As we already found out in part 2 of the series, the unbalanced line out is slightly better, so we will only use that. Here you can see that the balanced XLR line out has a little low cut and high cut. The low cut starts at around 50 Hz and the high cut at around 12 kHz. At 18 kHz it's minus 1 dB, which means it's almost irrelevant for guitar tones. The PS2 model comes along with a low-pass switch on the back, which is similar to the high-cut switch of the Sir reactive load. For all sound tests, the low-pass filter is disengaged because we don't want to limit the frequency spectrum. Anyway, I've proved this as well, and as you can see in this diagram, the high cut starts at around 4.5 kHz. Please keep in mind that you can't find the switch on the PS2A model because it has been replaced with a line-out level knob. In this video we will check the sounds by reamping some guitar tracks, check the latency, ground hum sensitivity and the noise of the device. And we will take a look at the overall response curve as well. For this, the power station is used in silent mode, means without a cabinet connected, so it is set up in the same way as all other load boxes of the series. None of the load boxes is sponsored, each one has been purchased with my own money. I'm not getting paid for making these videos, so you can be sure that I'm completely objective. The Fryette power station comes along with two switches on the front panel, and the power station and the Boss Tube Amp Expander are the only two devices in the test that allow you to change the response curve of the load box with these switches, which is, by the way, a great feature. Each switch has 3 positions, so I have to record 9 tracks for the sounds clean, mid gain and high gain, which means 27 tracks total. That's a lot, but I will do it for you guys. Now let's start to reamp the recorded DI tracks of the unprocessed guitar signal so we can compare the results without any changes in my playing later. For the clean, mid-gain and high-gain sounds, different IRs will be used. As you maybe know, in the final video of the series, we will compare all load boxes and therefore it's very important to use the same IRs together with the same IR loader, which is my XFX3. So let's finally start with a clean sound through my König amp. For the mid-gain sound, my Friedman BE100 Deluxe is used. For the high gain sound, I will use my EVH 5150 Stealth Edition amp. Of course, a good monitor system and headphones can help to notice a difference. Luckily, I have both on hand, and personally, I think I would choose the Edge Deep setting. Now it's time to take a look at the overall response curves. For this, we compare the line out of the Loadbox with the white noise input signal of the amp, which was fed into the power amp via the effects return loop. For more details, simply watch episode 1. I've put all curves into a single diagram, so it's easier to compare, and because of the different switch combinations, we have 9 curves total. As you can see here, there are 3 groups, which are mainly different in the mid and low frequencies. So with switch 1, that's the upper switch on the front panel, you can set the group. Yellow is flat, orange is bright, and blue is the edge setting. That's all good, but currently it looks like the yellow curves have most low, mid and high frequencies. For comparing the curves, we have to level them to a certain anchor point. As you maybe know, moving a curve along the y-axis is nothing else than changing the volume of a recorded track. And that's what I've done in the updated diagram. I've leveled all curves at 1 kHz to 0 dB, and now we can see that the curve with the most low end is flat deep. But the yellow group has less higher mids and top end. The orange group is a little better in the higher frequencies, but it's not what we want. The curve we are looking for is in the blue group. So by removing the other groups, we can clearly see that edge deep is the setting that provides most low end and top end. That's the setting with the biggest reactive share, and guess what? That's exactly the setting I've chosen by listening to the recorded tracks. Now let's take a look at the yellow group again, because I've noticed something interesting. It's the curve of the flat-flat setting. So what does flat-flat mean? It simply means that the Loadbox is in resistive mode and the almost flat curve is the proof. There's also a high cut and low cut, but it's mainly flat. As already mentioned in episode 3, the response curve represents the Loadbox and the power tube amp. So some of these high and low cuts are certainly caused by the tube amp itself. Now let's add the resistive mode response curve of the Loadbox from Red 7. As we can see, the frequency spectrum of the Fryette power station is a bit wider and therefore better. I've also noticed that the response curve of the Red 7 gets worse by reducing the output level, as you can see here. You will find more information about this behavior in the final video of the series. Now let's continue with the latency check, and as you can see here, the latency is around 0.3 milliseconds, which is equal to the round trip latency. So we have no latency, which is exactly what I would expect from an unpowered device, which also means it's completely analog. Now let's check the ground hum sensitivity. As you can see in the diagram, I'm using two DI boxes. One straight after the output of the audio interface and another one after the line out of the load box. For the test, I'm using the high gain channel of my EVH amp, so we can clearly hear a difference. We will do 4 tests, first with both DI boxes engaged in the signal chain, next without the second DI box, then without any DI box, and finally without the first DI box. As you could hear, the first 2 setups work perfect. In the third and fourth configuration, you can hear a massive ground hum, which leads to a feedback for some reason. In the flat mode, the feedback occurs in the fourth configuration only, so I assume it has something to do with the reactive components of the Loadbox. The Loadbox itself does not need an internal fan, and that's great. However, let's now check if there is any other noise audible. As you could hear, some sound noise is provided when the upper switch is in the edge position. In the bright position it's less, and in the flat position it's almost noiseless. What you can slightly hear in the background comes directly from the tubes of the EVH amp. In the next episode we will check out the tube amp expander from Boss, which has a similar feature set compared to the Fryette power station. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. because Christmas is around the corner. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Happy holidays, and I wish you a Merry Christmas.